Hello everybody and welcome to the Danimal Weekly number 8. I am Dan Andrews from IntegrityAthletics.com. Today's topic of the week is going to be CrossFit. I was originally going to do a video on CrossFit a number of weeks ago. It was going to be one of the first videos I did. I decided against it and figured I'd save it for a better time. So I've decided now is a good time for the video. I'm going to give you my opinion and some of the things I think that are wrong and some of the things that are good about CrossFit. To begin, my background in CrossFit, it's probably important for you guys to know, is I CrossFitted for a number of years. I did right off the main site, pulled workouts, did that for years. Then I got, that was right around the time I was competing in gymnastics. Then I ended up getting certified, level 1 certified with the certification staff. And from there, I began coaching CrossFit. And to this point, I've coached dozens, if not hundreds of people at CrossFit. And I'm really good friends with a lot of CrossFit gym owners, and I'm really good friends with a lot of CrossFitters. And I also have some pretty good relationships with people that have been on the certification staff, both in the past and currently. So I've kind of been there, done that with CrossFit, and I know people that have been heavily involved with it now or in the past. So I've got a pretty well-rounded view of it at this point, although I used to be like a CrossFit freak and zealot, whatever you want to call it. Moving on from there, there's a lot of misconceptions about CrossFit in terms of what sort of results you can gain from the program. And this all begins with the CrossFit website. At the top it says Forging Elite Fitness. There's really nothing elite about CrossFit at all. It's almost a crime that they say that. The people that they post their top CrossFit Games competitors, it's kind of a joke to call them CrossFitters at this point. If you listen to the interviews on what sort of programming they do, it's usually some sort of strength training focused or cardiorespiratory endurance focused or gymnastics focused program with CrossFit WODs layered over that. And they kind of do it all. It's a lot of volume, but really to call those people CrossFitters at this point is asinine. So that's one big misconception, is people think you can attain this elite level of physical capability, which is basically a total fabrication. From there, the certification they do also promotes a lot of misconceptions. At the certification, they teach CrossFit as like the be-all, end-all program. You hear me use that term a lot because in the fitness industry, it's become popular to make the be-all, end-all program because it's easier to sell that way. And that's really one of my largest programs, is they say at the cert specifically that basically you can get extremely strong off CrossFit and be amazing at running and be an amazing gymnast all because of this one program. And it's total nonsense. This leads me to an interesting story. When I was at my certification staff, I was talking to an individual who was heavily involved with CrossFit. He's still on the certification staff, as far as I know. He's competed in the CrossFit Games, really well known within that circle. I'm not going to say his name because I'm not in the business of calling people out on the internet, but suffice it to say he's one of CrossFit's main staff certification people, and everybody knows him. He's on the main site all the time. So I asked him, this was during a break, so I wasn't asking him in front of a crowd of people, and I asked him, do you think that CrossFit, the strength gains elicited by CrossFit are due to the Novice Effect? Meaning, and he didn't know what the Novice Effect was. So I explained it, and I said, well, basically, if you take someone who's unadapted to training and has been led in a completely sedentary lifestyle, and you introduce them to any sort of training stimulus, they're going to make progress. So if you make someone ride a bicycle for any amount of time on some sort of structured regimen, their bench press is going to go up, just by virtue that the fact they're exercising, and they somehow manage, due to more neuromuscular efficiency, to get stronger all around. And I was asking him if he thought that was why people got stronger doing CrossFit, because once you get past your novice linear progression, it's really difficult to make any strength gains on CrossFit once you've attained a certain level. And he thought that was completely false. Didn't know what the Novice Effect was, completely disagreed with me. He said you can get extremely strong off CrossFit. Using himself as an example, he cited how he had put on like 120 pounds on his deadlift in 5 years, as if this were some sort of momentous accomplishment, which 120 pounds in 5 years is like meager at best. So and ever since then, I was really just dumbfounded by the ignorance of this one particular individual at the certification staff. So, and there's a lot of that. Particularly, they also, with the zone diet, the way they push the zone diet, it's funny, Dr. Barry Sears, smart guy, he's academically educated, he's got a lot of PhDs and stuff. I think he's smart in a lot of respects, and he knows a good bit with respect to his profession, but there's a video of him saying that he would rather have people eat a weighed and measured Twinkie or Ho-Ho diet as opposed to an unweighed and unmeasured paleo diet. And ever since that moment, I've lost all respect for him and his diet. So, I mean, if you want to listen to a guy that thinks Twinkies and Ho-Hos are better than paleo, be my guest. But anybody with a lick of common sense will not. Moving from there, then, comes to, like, the training, if you want to call it training. Although it's just, like, random nonsense that you do. There's no programming to CrossFit. It's basically glorified random circuit training with random intervals. And they come up with whatever you want, particularly the main site. Come up with whatever they want with no respect to like recovery and overtraining or any of these other well-known principles. And they just throw together a random workout and have everybody do it. It can include heavy deadlifts and heavy back squats, traditionally very good strength building movements, and they try to use them to develop the hormonal pathways in just whether it be like the phosphogenic, glycolytic, or oxidative pathway, and they try to use strength movements to develop those, like heavy deadlifts. I think that's a crime. At this point, it should be a crime to put heavy deadlifts in any sort of conditioning workout. There is just so much better movements and programming available to develop conditioning that it's completely ridiculous to try to involve them in your conditioning program. They're great. They're most amazing strength building movements probably to ever be devised, but in terms of conditioning, they're awful, really. If you want to get injured, knock yourself out. But I'm not in the business of getting people injured. And that's it's really the whole deal. One piece of credit I will give to CrossFit, one thing I think it does very well, is it introduces people to a lot of great stuff like powerlifting movements and Olympic weightlifting movements, and that's great. You know, I'm all for introducing people to these sports, and I'm really happy that CrossFit helps people get off their ass and get up and start exercising, you know, and I give it respect for that. But to espouse it as like a mastermind, state-of-the-art training program is completely absurd. And then for the closing thoughts, I think it's very interesting how all of CrossFit's best and brightest experts seem to have fallen out from it. And I'm not speaking for them specifically. I'm not trying to put words in their mouth. But if you'll notice people like Rob Wolf and Mark Ripito and Justin Lasik and Johnny Payne, they all have fallen out and gotten away from CrossFit because I think they've seen a deterioration in the quality of coaching and methodology used. And they realize that there's better ways to train people. There's better ways to coach people. And they've sort of moved on. And there's better diets. Like Rob Wolf, he didn't. So, you know, you can look into sort of all the drama that's gone on behind the scenes with those guys. But it is something to think about why some of CrossFit's best and brightest people all seem to leave it at one point or another. So that's my spiel on CrossFit. Hope you guys enjoyed it. This is the Danimal Weekly number 8. I am Dan Andrews from IntegrityAthletics.com. Have a good week. Stay tuned for the article that will be posted later in the week, either on Friday or Saturday. Have a good one, guys. Peace out. Let me count the ways. Decades of excuses.